Alrighty. Good morning, Arkansas. Here, give me just 1 second. Let me move some stuff around real quick. All right. Looks like we're good to go. You guys should be able to hear me. Let me double check a couple of things before we get started here in terms of audio and everything like that. So you guys give me just a second. Let me do this. Looks like we're good. If y'all can test me out on audio, make sure that we're good. And everything like that. We can get started here. Good morning, everyone. I do understand that, this is probably like the billionth time you guys have seen me over the last month or so talking about more significant severe weather here. That's going to be the case once again for our folks, especially in western and northwestern Arkansas. So, like I said before, just making sure that the audio is good. If y'all can leave that comment. And while y'all are here, by the way, make sure that you share this live stream, especially on Facebook. That way that we get this information out here, because it could be a rather significant risk for our folks in western northwestern Arkansas here, guys. Okay, so audio sounds good. I'm not sure audio's cutting out in and out. I'm not sure. I'm getting kind of mixed comments right now. Some are saying it's coming in and out. Some are saying that it's really good here, so I'll double check, just making sure that we're good. Okay. All right. So I see the comments coming in and stuff like that. For folks that are going to be asking questions, give me just a bit. As usual, I got to go over all the information first, and then I will start getting into questions here. So looking at radar right now, this is something that you don't want to see on a severe weather day here. Not any rainfall on the board right now here. Matter of fact, I will do this. I will switch it over to the national radar, and not a drop nowhere near in Arkansas right now here. We do got a good amount of cloud cover. However, that cloud cover is going to be breaking away. As a matter of fact, I know our folks over here in eastern Arkansas, even in southern Arkansas, we've had some cloud breaks from time to time this morning here. So what's going to be happening later on is your instability is going to start to develop a lot more, and that's what's going to lead to the rather significant severe weather risk across our area here. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into the graphics here, guys. And the reason why I really didn't post this, this came out, the moderate risk came out at midnight last night, but then I decided to wait until the 8 a.m. update, because I had a feeling that the moderate risk was going to be expanded further to the east here. So now it includes much of Harrison, Jasper, all the way down to Mena, especially our folks in western, northwestern Arkansas. Level 4 out of 5 here. That goes for the potential of seeing significant tornadoes. Some of them could be rather intense. Very large hail here. The hail threat has been the one thing that we've dealt with over the last couple of days, and also the damaging wind threat up to 75-mile-per-hour winds, plus the severe threat will start to quote-unquote weaken as it moves to the east. As you can see, you go from your level 4, level 3, level 2, level 1, etc. However, my folks that are east of the area here, that's north central Arkansas, central Arkansas, eastern Arkansas, down to southern Arkansas, severe weather is still on the table. There still is a tornado risk that we'll have to talk about, the damaging wind threat and the hail threat as well here. So let me see if I can get this to work with me. There we go. So there's the timing for today, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave it pretty much on this timing map, and I want you guys, I have about 30 to 40 minutes. I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. But let's talk about timing just kind of a brief bit. This is going to be a situation where I know folks are going to be asking about the specific minute by minute, second by second timing. This is going to be a very broad, kind of broad-based timing for today, especially our folks in western, northwestern Arkansas. I'm going to go from about 2 p.m. this afternoon. I think we'll start seeing some storms start to bubble up, especially across eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas, probably as early as 2 o'clock this afternoon. This will impact those that are trying to get kiddos out of school, that are trying to get off of work, etc. I want to stress this right now. Your kids are in a very secure place. Do not attempt to try to get those kids out of school if a tornado warning gets issued before they let out today. School districts are very concerned about that. We deal with this all the time in the spring or even in the fall. Do not get your kids out of school. I know that sounds awful, but the kids are in the most secure place possible in that school building. Okay, so please keep that in mind this afternoon and this evening if we get any tornado warnings prior to the 3:15 time frame. Those that are going to be getting off of work, etc. What I would do this morning is kind of scout your route. That's what I like to call it. Take a look at your gas stations, your grocery stores, your restaurants. Just kind of see what you're going to be kind of passing by on your way home, or you're on the way to work or something like that. I would be doing that today. And also, the number one thing too is make sure you know where you live. That's the number one thing, folks. When we have tornado warning coverage, a lot of folks get mad at our moderators for not answering questions. I tell my moderators this: we do not answer questions unless they are in the tornado warning themselves. So please keep that in mind this afternoon and into this evening here, guys. Okay, don't try to bash our team or anything like that for not getting to your questions during tornado warning coverage here, guys. Okay, so biggest thing about timing. So from 2 p.m. to 11 o'clock across Western Arkansas and Northwestern Arkansas. Further to the east, this is where things get very, very, very tricky, because we need to see what happens with the storms out in Western Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, to see what ends up happening further downstream. So I've got you guys from about 11 p.m. this evening all the way to about 5 o'clock in the morning. I know, another overnight risk, right? So that's going to be dependent on what involves out from Western Arkansas. That's the biggest question. We've got a pretty good read on the timing in Western Arkansas, Northwestern Arkansas. But further to the east, things get a lot uncertain. Is it going to be supercells moving into Eastern Arkansas, or is it going to be a big line of storms or something like that? Data has been kind of back and forth about the overall evolution of the storms coming out from Western Arkansas. So I've put you guys at an 11 to 5 a.m. time frame, but keep in mind throughout the day, this timing map may kind of shift from place to place, because we'll be getting better data in. We'll be looking at current radar, stuff like that, and we'll get a better idea on what we're looking at here. Okay, so and then down in far southeastern Arkansas, you guys are not in a severe threat yet. But I think we'll probably end up happening here, probably with the next update with the timing map. I'll probably slap you guys with the 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. just to be on the safe side down there in southeastern Arkansas. And yes, we will have Jamie out, by the way. She will be chasing out in Western Arkansas, West Central Arkansas later on this afternoon and into this evening here. Along with that, we do have the Skycam up in Northwestern Arkansas. We'll kind of keep an eye on things for our folks in Western Northwestern Arkansas. So I've gone over timing. I'm going to break down the risk, but I think I'm going to answer some questions here, guys. So I'm going to kind of scroll through here. Forgive me if I don't get to your certain question, because I've got a ton of them coming in. So this is from the one yesterday. So, the huge storm that went through Springdale. By the way, we got the Solemn Springs camera back online here. Kind of shout out to Joint Forces Canine Group up there. They had the power outage, and the camera came back online. That was straight line wind damage, by the way. That was not a tornado. That was straight line wind damage. We talk about this all the time. Folks will ignore the wind potential, and I tell you guys this: dealing with damaging winds can be just as bad as dealing with a tornado here. So that was 80 plus mile per hour straight line wind damage up there in Northwestern Arkansas yesterday. Nothing tornadic with that. That was just a wall of wind and hail and rain going through Northwestern Arkansas yesterday. As a matter of fact, like I said before, it knocked our Skycam out up there in Northwestern Arkansas, but we do have a backup for today's event as well here. So Searcy up there in Northeast Arkansas, White County. Yes, you are in a severe threat. It's just the problem I have with you guys further to the east is we need to see how these storms evolve coming out of Western and Northwestern Arkansas. Is it going to be supercells? Is it going to be a line of storms? Is it going to fall apart as it moves east? There's a lot of things that still needs to be answered as of 9 o'clock this morning. So we'll keep an eye on that throughout the day and kind of update this timing map as needed here, guys. Okay, so like I said before, I got to Jamie's comment. She's going to be watching the skies for us here today over there in Western Arkansas. So let me see. So yeah, there's no tornado warning in place right now, guys. This is just kind of a severe weather briefing talking about the severe weather threat for today here, guys. So looks like we're good. I'm good on audio here. I just now checked Discord, so we're good to go here, guys. So Stacy, and I hope for this because we've had enough severe weather to go around for about 2 to 3 years here in Arkansas this spring. But there's going to be somebody that's going to get upset if they don't get a tornado or severe weather today. I would love to see this bust, and I think the biggest the biggest fly fly on ointment. If I got that term wrong, I bet I did. The biggest bust potential with this today would be if storms all go up at once. And what will happen is all these storms kind of compete for the same environment, and it leads to more of a damaging wind, significant hail threat versus a tornado threat. The tornado threat is going to rely strictly on storms that are by themselves, that are discrete, and are able to kind of tap into the environment without having to worry about another storm to the south or to the north or anything like that here. So that would probably be the best outcome out of this. Is this forms into more of what we call a line of storms, and it becomes more, I say this like damaging winds and hail is, is great. It's not. But when you're trying to forecast either between a tornado outbreak or a damaging wind and a hail threat, obviously, the damaging wind and hail threat is better tornado wise, but it's worse for the damaging wind and hail threat. So that would probably be your bust potential for today, is all storms go up at once. They compete for the exact same environment, and you lead to a lot of what's it called? Destructive storm mode. That's what it's called. And what happens is you get a storm to pop, you get another one to pop, and you get another one to pop. And what happens is you kind of cancel out your tornado threat, but they kind of merge into one, become a damaging wind threat, and you would have to watch out for that. So regardless, severe weather is going to happen today, whether it's in the form of dealing with multiple tornadoes or dealing with damaging winds and significant large hail. By the way, the hail threat is going to be rather significant in western and northwestern Arkansas today here. So Cole, I think that's my buddy up there in northwestern Arkansas. So is it going to go high risk? I'm going to say no. Kind of echoing back to Stacy's question. No, I do not think it's going to go level 5. Because of, the uncertainty on the discrete mode of the supercells and everything like that. I think a level 4 is perfect. As a matter of fact, I would be happy if we didn't have any severe weather, but that's just us here in mid-May. We're still dealing with severe weather here in Arkansas. But no, I don't see this going high risk. No, there's too much uncertainty. I know it took a while for them to go moderate, if that says anything. I don't think this is going to go high risk. I think this is probably going to stay as probably a level 4. Now, I will say this: if it does look like the supercell threat will start to increase further to the east, I could see probably about the 11:30 or 2 p.m. update that the level 4 kind of gets expanded a little bit further to the east, but those are questions that we're just going to have to wait and see and kind of figure out throughout today here. So, do you think flying out of Fayetteville today will be possible? I would expect delays. If you're flying out from Fayetteville today, I would, especially later on, I would expect delays probably up there in northwestern Arkansas. So I would check into that. I don't know what time you're flying out. If you're flying out this morning, you should be fine. But this afternoon and this evening, I do expect some significant delays here. So I have seen that a secondary dry line is being discussed. Now, Christopher, that's a really good question here. I've actually been looking at data, and with the team, I've been kind of discussing that too, is that it looks like another dry line is trying to develop here. So basically what happens is, I'm trying to remember the event. I want to say this was in 2011 or 2013. It was one of the two out in Oklahoma where you had a similar setup like this. We had 2 dry lines set up, and what happens is the second dry line, wherever it develops here, that's where your supercells pop, and that's where your tornado threats maximize. So that's kind of one of the reasons why they have such a elevated tornado threat up there in northwestern Arkansas today. There could be a situation, there could be 2 waves of storms. That's why I kind of have that broad brush timing from 2 p.m. to 11. But that's a really good question. Yeah, if that does happen, Christopher, that will increase your tornado threat up there in northwestern Arkansas. That's why I think this is a really good moderate. I don't think it needs to go high because there's just so much uncertainty. But I will say this: if it looked like this was going to be a primary supercell threat without any concern about it being a messy mode or anything like that, I would dare say this would probably be another 5 out of 5, level 5 out of 5. But there's so much, there's a lot of questions about, is this going to take off and, supercell wise or going to merge or anything like that. So there's a lot of questions with that. But yeah, I did see that. And that's something that we will have to watch up there in northwestern Arkansas later on. Not only just northwest Arkansas, but much of north central and into western Arkansas as well here, guys. So I know this is the biggest thing too. I'm already anxious about the storms in Arkansas. That's completely understandable, and I don't want anybody in the comments, bashing somebody for having storm anxiety. It's been a rough spring, Arkansas. I've been doing this for about 10 years, and this is probably one, if not the most active spring we've covered here on the page since 2014. I don't know if I wouldn't around to do this in 2011, but it's been a crazy spring here, guys. So obviously, when you have any kind of severe threat, you gotta keep your head on the swivel and everything like that. But what I will say is the biggest way to kind of counter storm anxiety is just to make sure you know where to go. That's just the number one thing. And do it while you're kind of go over those plans while it's quiet. Don't wait until a warning gets issued or anything like that. You go ahead and do it while it's quiet, because that it doesn't kill a storm anxiety, but it kind of goes, it kind of helps counter it. If you have a plan, you know where to go, where to stay safe. It helps counter storm anxiety. It's not going to kill it, but it does counter it here, guys. So what about the sun? What about since the sun has been out here? So I've looked at some. Let me go back over to the visible satellite imagery over here on my screen over here. So looks like we do have some cloud breaks over here in eastern Arkansas. We've got a couple in northern Arkansas. What I'm worried about is it is 9 o'clock right now, and we're talking storms popping up about 2-3 o'clock. That gives you about 4 hours of kind of the time for the atmosphere to become destabilized, for a cloud cover to kind of burn off and stuff like that. The later this gets, the worse it's going to be, because you don't want the sun to come out today. The more cloud cover we have, it will help kind of negate some of the severe threat, kind of bring that ceiling down a bit. But I'm already seeing cloud breaks in place across the area at 9 o'clock this morning. And it does look like we will have some time for some sunshine as we move into late this morning and into the early afternoon hours before storms really start going across the board here. So is there a cap in place? Now, when we talk about a cap, thank you, Derek, for leaving this bottle in here. This is a really good example. Okay, so you have this bottle. Okay, you see the red cap up here. So this is what we talk about all the time when we talk about, capping inversions and stuff like that. So you have your Coca-Cola in here, you have your beverage in here. And then what happens is this pretty much acts as like instability, fuel, your moisture, etc. But if you have a cap in place, it can't go up in the atmosphere and generate thunderstorms. When this cap gets removed, that goes up in the atmosphere, it generates thunderstorms, and that's what leads to severe weather here. So right now, you have one in place, and you don't want it in place first thing in the morning. So in a perfect world, to get rid of severe weather, you don't want a cap in place in the morning, because what that does is it leads to cloud breaks, sunshine, and then when a cap breaks, that's when you get severe weather. So you want that cap to break in the morning, where it's your most coolest part of the day, where you have all those showers and storms go up at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's how your severe threat's done for. But if you're 9 o'clock in the morning, you got cloud breaks, you don't have any rain or anything like that, that's going to lead to the atmosphere becoming unstable. And then when a cap finally breaks, that's where you get your severe threat, and that's where you get your tornado threat, your damaging wind threat, etc. here, guys. Okay, so driving from Little Rock to Mena, I think your appointment is at 11:40 this morning. You're good. And this is what I tell you guys all the time. Make sure you pay attention to these timing maps. You're good. You're gonna be good to go. If you're traveling this morning, you're gonna be fine. This is this afternoon into this evening and into tonight here, guys. And another thing, pay attention to the graphics. Okay, our team is stressed. We're all tired. We're all we've been dealing with multiple severe weather outbreaks over the last month or so. So help us out by reading the graphics, knowing where you are, etc. here. But you're going to be good for your appointment this morning. If you're traveling this morning, if you're doing anything this morning, you're good. This is mainly this afternoon and into this evening here. Okay, so the best route from Kansas City to Little Rock. Jessica, if you're going to do that, I'd do it like right now. I'd go ahead and get out there, go ahead and travel, and get it taken care of here. Because if I'm correct, that is roughly about. I'm not even going to pull up Google Maps. I think that's about a 5 or 6 hour drive, if not more, from Kansas City to Little Rock. So I would go ahead. Yeah, you'll be what we call JIT just in time, but I would go ahead and try to get that done this morning instead of waiting this afternoon, this evening. Because if you do it this afternoon, this evening, you are going to run into some severe weather, especially up there in southwest Missouri and into northern and north central Arkansas. Okay, so I will go over that here in just a little bit. I will have that posted on YouTube as well. The problem is I'm leaving this timing map up because I don't want to have to show that, and then we got folks that are going to be coming in asking timing and stuff like that. So this is your best timing map right now that you're going to get. Okay, I could show you all day Futurecast. Futurecast is going to change every hour, but this timing map is all of our thoughts pretty much generated into a graphic here. So if you need timing, this is it. This is it, because Futurecast is going to change every single hour. And like I said before, we've got folks coming in that are asking about timing, so I'm not trying to show Futurecast just yet. I want people to kind of get a good read on the overall timing across the area here. So let me see here. So yeah, so like just kind of addressing that. I will at some point, but I just want people to kind of get a good read of this timing map. Because this is pretty much going to be your timing for today, from 2 p.m. to 11, and then 11 p.m. To 5 o'clock in the morning here. So let me see. Just going over that. So good question here. Do we have a cap in place? If it holds, will the risk shift more to the east? No. And yes, you do have a cap in place first thing this morning, which is something you don't want to see. You want that cap to break first thing in the morning because it leads to a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity, and it cancels out your severe threat. If you have a cap in place for much of the day and then it breaks, that's what leads to severe weather, right? So we do have it in place right now here. The biggest thing that's helping us right now is the cloud cover. Now, I say that, and you've got cloud breaks in eastern Arkansas, northeast Arkansas, even up in northwestern Arkansas, and down into southern Arkansas here. Now, it's going to be something that we'll have to watch later on this morning and into this early afternoon to see how fast this cloud cover kind of breaks across the area here. Okay, so let me see. So I'm not volunteering for it, but hopefully hang on. Hopefully Arkansas doesn't see any severe weather today. That'll be something that I'll be happy with. There's gonna be somebody that's gonna get upset about not seeing a tornado today. But let me see here. So just now tuning in, nothing major for eastern Arkansas. Jeffrey, it's a question mark. It's a big time question mark. I will show you guys the computer model data. Give me just a bit. But I want to stress, okay, because I know folks like to look at the Futurecast and stuff like that. That Futurecast runs off of computer model data, and computer model data changes per hour. So if you're looking at a Futurecast at 9 o'clock in the morning and it has a severe storm over you at 5 o'clock, but then you look at it at 10 and that severe storm is either gone or it gets delayed by another hour, then you're going to start to get frustrated. That's why I don't really like showing Futurecast unless it has a really good strong hold on timing. That's why I don't really like showing it, but I will for you guys just for a quick second. So if you give me just a bit, I'll show you guys that. So let me make sure that my scene is correct. There we go. All right, so I'll show you guys this, and like I mentioned before, it's going to change per hour, but my folks over there in eastern Arkansas here. So what we're looking at here is we need to see how this evolves out, okay? And going back to Christopher's comment about, the second dry line developing out in eastern Oklahoma and the northwest Arkansas, I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out over here. So what happens out here in western Arkansas will dictate eastern Arkansas threat. If this shifts to more of a damaging wind and a health threat, kind of forms into a cluster of storms, then it will be a wind and hail threat for eastern Arkansas. If this stays supercellular, then you start to increase your tornado threat here. Okay, so those that are going to be asking about timing, by the way, bottom left of the graphic here, that's 5 o'clock this afternoon. Like I mentioned before, I'm urging you guys, don't put too much stock into Futurecast data, okay? Because it's computer model data at the end of the day, and when it gets new data throughout the day, it changes shape and form. That's why we generate those, those in-house timing maps, because those timing maps give you the best shot of knowing when those storms are going to be coming, etc. here. So I'll back this up. I'll go to about, that's going to be that's 2 o'clock this afternoon. So pretty much our timing right now, from 2 o'clock this afternoon over here in Western Arkansas, that's Mena, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Harrison, etc. You notice these storms going up already has that presentation, that supercell presentation. Well, what's going to end up happening is this is where your tornado threat is going to maximize out here in Western Arkansas. So I'd say your tornado threat, if it's going to be at its highest point from 2 p.m. to about 7. And then what's going to happen is after 7 o'clock, this forms into a line of storms, and then it's going to start to push east. Now, this is not going to kill your tornado threat. You will still have to watch along the line itself for the tornado threat. However, it's going to start to negate the significant tornado threat, if that makes sense. So we'll watch it. I want to stress right now, like I said before, this model, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. We're going to get to 1 o'clock this afternoon, and this is going to look completely different. That's just how it is. That's computer model data for you. So we'll have to watch it, and you can see as it moves into Eastern Arkansas, what happens out in Western Arkansas will dictate what happens in Eastern Arkansas. If it's a line of storms, more than likely for you, Jeffrey, it's going to be a damaging wind, hail, and a very isolated tornado threat over there in Eastern, Northeastern Arkansas. I think if they're going to be an area of highest concern for the tornado threat, as a matter of fact, I will do this, and we will go straight into... Give me 1 second. I thought I had it in my slideshow. Apparently I don't. So I'll do this. There we go. All right. So if there were to be an area for the highest concern for the potential of seeing significant tornadoes, it's going to be in Western and Northwestern Arkansas here. But I worry, and this is the worry I have with every severe weather event. People prioritize tornadoes over damaging winds. Remember what happened up there in Northwestern Arkansas yesterday? That was 80-mile-per-hour straight line winds. There were no red flashing polygons or anything like that. That was a severe thunderstorm warning with 80-plus mile-per-hour winds up there in Northwestern Arkansas. So I understand the need to prioritize tornadoes. I want to stress damaging winds and hail is still a primary threat and can still pose problems, especially with power outages, trees down, etc. So I want to make this clear. I know everyone's worried about the tornado. Don't ignore the damaging wind and hail threat because it's just about as significant as the tornado threat here. But if there were to be an area of highest concern, this is going to be your graphic for here from Fayetteville, Mountain Home, Russellville, Fort Smith, all the way down towards the DeQueen area in Western Arkansas. That's going to be the highest concern for seeing that significant tornado threat here. And then obviously your damaging wind threat, which I will pull up, by the way. Give me just 1 second. I thought I had all this set up in here. Apparently I don't. So let's do this. And I'm going to go back here. So there's going to be your damaging wind threat here for today. So this is what I mean, especially for our folks in Western, Northwestern Arkansas. 75-plus mile-per-hour winds could be possible up there as well. So, yeah, agree, leave now. Yeah, so, yeah, that's what I thought. Kansas City is about I had 5 to 6 hours. 6 hours was close enough. So, let me see here. So random question, what does that mean about hit and miss? So pretty much what that means is there's going to be some folks that are going to see storms, and there's going to be folks that are not going to see a thing at all over there in Eastern Arkansas. It's uncertain. That's what it means. Okay. So it doesn't mean that it's not going to be as bad or anything like that. It's just some areas are going to see storms and some areas are not. Some areas are going to be completely dry and they're going to be wondering what's all the fuss about. While you're going to have other areas that are going to have severe weather and are going to have the damaging wind threat, the hail threat, the tornado threat, etc. So that's what we mean about hit and miss. It's not the storms are not going to be as bad. It's just who's going to see it. That's the problem. And we can't accurately say like, hey, this is a guarantee. It's if you're going to get it or you're not going to get it. That's what hit and miss means. So let me see here. And I love this comment as well. Please listen to what I'm talking about. We're going over as much information as possible. Please remember that weather is constantly changing. So the information is going to change as much as the weather is going to change. That's just how it is. I love you guys to death, but we don't have a magic 8 ball. I mean, I can't sit here and say, like, hey, you're going to get a tornado or you're going to get severe weather at this minute, at this hour, at this second. We can't do that. But we can give you the information that you need, and also we can give you the timing as well. So let me see. So did the sirens go off up there, Northwestern Arkansas, yesterday? If they did, sometimes I see some comments about this too. Yeah, there are certain situations where, the city will sign the sirens for either a tornado threat or because of the fact that you've got tornadic like winds coming in, and that try to get as much, attention as possible to, like, hey, this is what's getting ready to happen. So, yeah, I didn't know that. Apparently they did up there in Northwestern Arkansas yesterday. If they did, that's awesome because, that does help, especially in significant damaging wind events like that as well. So, yeah, I love that comment from Ryan. Don't get upset if you don't see a tornado. This has been a rough spring. If you're upset that you haven't been impacted by severe weather, something's wrong. Something is definitely wrong here, guys. Okay, so let me see. Natural State Transparency. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Going to be in Walnut Ridge and Lawrence County up there. We'll be watching this stuff closely as it approaches northeastern Arkansas. If you guys are on YouTube, highly recommend going to subscribe to Natural State Transparency. Those guys are awesome. I may or may not be watching you guys in the evening time when I'm looking at data. I have you guys playing in the background while I'm looking at data. So those guys are pretty awesome over there on YouTube here. So the sun is out bright in southern Yell County. That's something that we do not want to see, Michael. That leads to the atmosphere becoming more unstable, and that which leads to severe weather here. So I'm going to do this. I want to go over this too before we get active later on this afternoon, this evening. This is not a shot at anybody or anything like that. This is just pretty much knowing where you live. Now, I understand there's a lot of gray zones here. Union County could be considered South Central. Garland could be considered Central Arkansas. Some areas up there in North Central Arkansas could be considered Northeast. The biggest goal is just knowing your counties, knowing where you live, because you'll hear us call out, Central Arkansas. You'll hear us call out Southwest Arkansas, Northwest, or North Central. But do you know where those counties are? Do you know where that part of the state is? So make sure that you guys know this going forward, especially this afternoon, this evening, because once tornado warnings start or any severe weather starts, we don't answer those questions unless you are absolutely in the polygon itself. So want to stress this right now. Make sure that you know where you live. Make sure you know you have a way to get weather alerts across the board. I do want to show one more graphic here before I go back to timing. If a tornado warning gets issued here, and I understand, what happened last night, my heart goes out to those that were impacted by that Greensburg monster tornado last night. That was just devastating. If a situation like that happens here in northwestern Arkansas, I'm not saying it will, but I'd rather for you guys to be safe than sorry. You got to know where to go when a tornado warning is being issued, okay? You got to know where to go when a tornado's on the ground, etc., okay? So number one, do not go to a top floor, okay? It's not going to protect you. An attic or anything like that is the worst place to be during a tornado, right next to being outside physically, okay? Exterior rooms with the windows and stuff like that is not going to protect you either, okay? So what you want to do, if you have a storm shelter, by the way, speaking of storm shelters, go check out Tornado Shelter Systems. Those guys are awesome. I don't even want to know how busy they've been this spring, but those guys are awesome. So if you don't have a tornado shelter, it's not the end of the world, I promise, okay? If you don't have a basement, it's not the end of the world. I want to make that clear, okay? So what you want to do is you want to get to that center, most interior part of your home. In most cases, if you grew up in the same household that I did, it's going to be a hallway. Is going to be a closet. It's going to be a kid's room, a bathroom without windows, etc. That's the center part. That's where you want to be. Okay. If you, like I said before, if you have a basement or a storm shelter, that's priority number one. That's awesome. But if you're in that situation where you, like I said, you got a ton of windows in the house and stuff like that, you want to get to that center part. Like I say, it could be a kid's room, bathroom, closet, etc. here. Bring pillows, mattresses, blankets, helmets, For those that have kids, try to make it kind of like a game. Be like, hey, we're gonna go here. Kind of make it entertaining for them, and get them into that safe spot. I think I talked to a few of my friends that a couple of days ago. A situation what they'll do is they'll bring their tablet and be like, "Hey, we're gonna go play a game in this room," and it gets them into safety, especially when there's a tornado warning and stuff like that, and also cuts down on the anxiety as well. So, just kind of do stuff like that. Now, there's a situation where with it being Monday, especially Monday afternoon, Monday evening, folks are going to be getting off of work or getting off from wherever, trying to get back home, etc. If you are traveling, okay, I want to make this crystal clear. Don't try to seek shelter under a bridge or an overpass. That is the worst place to go in a situation like that, okay? Do not seek shelter under an overpass. It's not going to help you. And I understand there's folks out there that saying we got taught that. It is the worst place possible, because if a tornado hits that bridge, your wind speeds are even triple than what the tornado is producing, because it acts like a wind tunnel. So don't seek shelter under a bridge. I want to make that crystal clear, okay? If you are traveling, what I would do today, especially being 9 o'clock this morning, go to a gas station, go to a grocery store, kind of map out your route today or this afternoon, this evening, and see where you're going to be passing. Because I know when you're traveling, from here, from where I live to the studio, I pass a gas station. I pass a couple of restaurants. I pass a couple of there's a couple of grocery stores I pass through as well. I want you guys to do the exact same thing. Pay attention to what you pass, because if tornado warning gets issued, you're right next to a grocery store. Make that quick swerve into that parking lot. You get into that grocery store. They'll guide you to where to go, and then we go from there here. Okay, so that's the one thing I want to stress here, because I can mention before, your tornado threat's going to be at its highest from probably about 2 p.m. today, I'd say, to about 8 o'clock. And then after 8 o'clock, your tornado threat's still there, but your damaging wind and hail threat will start to kind of spike up after that here. Okay, so we've gone over that. I'm going to go back over to the timing, and I'm going to leave it here. And then I'm going to answer a few questions here. Okay, so yes, a lot of power lines, trees out. I think that was up there in northwestern Arkansas here, guys. So, is there anything that could bring, can make this lower? Yes. All these storms pop up at once. They start fighting for the exact same environment. And then this becomes mainly a damaging wind and hail threat with a very isolated tornado threat. I mean, that's the best case scenario that I could probably throw out to you. Also, another thing we haven't talked about as well, flooding up there in northwestern Arkansas. We'll have to watch. 2 to 4 inches of rain could be possible with these storms later on this afternoon and into tonight here. So flooding will start to become an issue, but I think that will be probably late this evening and into the overnight hours here. I don't think it's going to affect anything that's going to happen this afternoon here, okay? So I love this comment as well. If you have storm anxiety, feel free to join our Discord server, guys. 100% free. All of our platforms, by the way, is 100% free. You don't ever have to pay for anything. I think the only thing you really have to pay for is if you guys want to buy merchandise, or if you have a business that wants to become a SkyCam sponsor or a sponsor for the page. But that's really it. For a generalized person, everything's 100% free across the area, especially our weather information. You'll never see our weather information behind any kind of paywall here, okay? So heavy cloud cover up there in Heber Springs. Hopefully that stays the case. That will help, but I want to say it's not going to kill your severe threat. It's not going to completely kill it. You can still get severe weather even with the cloud cover in place, because you are in mid-May. But it's a difference between a very high-end, significant severe weather threat and I don't want to say a marginal severe threat, but you bring the levels down, if that makes sense, with you adding the cloud cover across the board here, okay? So in Springdale yesterday, I got the emergency alert on my phone. Yes, and like I said, there are certain situations where if it's like a destructive tag or a considerable tag, your phone will go off, even for severe thunderstorm warnings here, because some storms can bring tornadic like winds, 70 to 80 mile per hour winds plus. So when we get an alert, if there's a tornado warning, I will say this, Stephanie, we will be live on Facebook and on YouTube and all the other platforms if there's a tornado warning across the state of Arkansas. If you're new here, that's something that we specialize in. We're quick about if a tornado warning gets issued, we're live. But I will say this: if you have a Roku device, if you have Fire TV, or if you have YouTube, we have a 24/7 network that gives you radar, alerts, all that other good stuff. So if you have that, go download our channel or go check us out on YouTube and keep that playing throughout the day. Don't unplug today, especially over there in northwestern Arkansas, because once things start getting going, it's going to go from 0 to 100 very, very quickly here. So yeah, it looks like the sun's starting to come out in downtown Little Rock. I am seeing that outside of our first regional studios here in Little Rock. Looks like we still got a good amount of cloud cover in place, but I am starting to see the sun starting to come out. Would it be 9 o'clock in the morning? I really, 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 really hope that the cloud cover kind of holds in place just long enough. But I've got a feeling it's going to break pretty quickly here. Okay, so I saw that from yesterday. Yeah, it was a destructive tag for baseball size hail up there in northwestern Arkansas. So yeah, most situations like that, your phone will go off. That's just normal. The emergency alert system, it will go off on your phone. So let me see here. Has been cloudy and humid all day in Pine Bluff. Hopefully it stays the case. I want to make this clear. I understand folks want to get rid of severe weather. I do too. I'm tired of it. I'm ready for it to be summer. And we talk about heat and sun all the time. The cloud cover is not going to kill your severe threat. It's going to negate it. But that means is not negate it. It's going to lessen it. That's what it means. Okay. It's not going to kill your severe threat. It's not going to completely get rid of it. But what it will do, it will help kind of prevent a much bigger event. That makes sense. You're still going to see storms. You're still going to have that severe risk. But there's a difference between if you have sunshine out versus the cloud cover. So just kind of keep that in mind. I don't want folks feeling like if it's cloudy outside, you're not going to see anything. Severe weather is still on the table regardless if you have cloud cover or not. It's just watching to see if it's going to be a rather significant threat or is it still going to be just kind of your generalized severe threat where you have your 60 mile per hour winds, etc. here. Okay, so let me see. I'm in a mobile home. What I would do, Potter, is it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I would be hitting up a buddy, or I would be pulling up Google Maps right now and figuring out, where's the closest gas station, closest grocery store, restaurant, etc. That will probably be the best thing for you to do because a mobile home is the last place you want to be, especially in a situation like this with severe weather. But that's what I would do. I would sit there and just kind of like I said, go on Google Maps, look at your location and say, hey, is there a gas station nearby, or a grocery store, or a restaurant, or somewhere more sturdy, and just kind of plot that out here. Now, I will say this too. There are certain situations where it will get to, like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I hate this nowadays because does anybody miss the Walmarts that was open 24/7? I know I do. There are certain situations where, there's nowhere to go if it happens at like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock. I don't recommend staying in a mobile home. I would really be trying to stay at a buddy's house tonight. Somebody that has a sturdier building or a sturdier house, I would be trying to do that, especially with being 9 o'clock this morning here. If that can't happen for you, then what I would recommend is just, if you have to be in a mobile home, like if you have to be, there's nowhere else to go and there's no ditches nearby or anything like that, I would just try to cover yourself as much as physically possible if a tornado warning gets issued. But the priority number one is kind of scouting out your area, making sure there's not a gas station nearby, or a restaurant, or a grocery store, or somewhere sturdy nearby before the mobile home thing comes in place. So that should be the very, very last thing you do. So let me see. Got our tornado bag ready to roll if we have to. Hopefully you don't have to use it, Megan, but like I said before, it's just been, I feel like I've been sitting here. It's like deja vu. I've been sitting here for the last couple of minutes telling you guys about significant severe weather over and over and over and over again. I'm hoping and I'm praying this is Arkansas's last hurrah when it comes to severe weather. Hopefully past this, I'm just telling you guys how hot and humid it's about to become, and that's it. So let me see. So Anna, one of our moderators, do not open a window of your house. By the way, yeah, I know that too. A lot of people will tend to open a window before tornado hits. Don't worry about that. Tornado's gonna do that itself. Okay, so don't worry about opening windows or anything like that. You get your behind the shelter. That's the number one thing. Okay, don't worry about opening windows or anything like that. The tornado's gonna take care of all of that. You get to shelter. That's priority number one. Don't worry about anything else. That should be priority number one, is getting the shelter. Don't worry about the windows or anything like that. But I love that comment. Love this comment as well from Rachel. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Get pillows. What I would do is just, would it be 9 o'clock in the morning? I understand folks have work, etc. The moment you get home, you're not under any kind of warning or anything like that. Make sure that you have that safe place ready to go. Okay, make sure you've gone over your severe weather plans. We've had severe weather so much, it should be second nature for you to be like, hey, I've been in this room like 20 times already this spring. That's how it should be by now. You guys should have this by second nature, just know where to go when severe weather strikes here. Okay, so trying to decide if it's worth the drive from Rogers for a concert tonight from Conway. Selena, I would be surprised that concert is even still going because of the ongoing severe weather. They may cancel it. So I would say no, to be honest with you. I wouldn't do it. I said before, I'm really surprised if whatever concert they have going up there in Northwestern Arkansas, I'm really surprised they're still doing it. By the way, speaking of that, sports, baseball or softball, I don't know if they're playing tonight or not. I haven't kept up with all that. Lord, I hadn't had time to keep up with sports, but I don't know if they're playing tonight or not. I don't know if we've got anybody from U of A watching this live stream right now. I would highly recommend canceling or postponing because things are going to get rocky up there later this afternoon and into this evening here. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, I love this comment. Don't forget helmets for the kids and stuff like that. Let me see. Let me kind of scroll down in the comments real quickly here. Okay, so I'm in a top floor apartment. The closest shelter is 10 to 15 minutes away. What should I do? Okay, so you're in a top floor of the apartment. Correct me if I'm wrong here. I think if you can get to the middle or the lowest part of that apartment, if I'm correct. Some apartments are different from others. Now I will say this, and kind of credit to our forecast team and our moderators. We're really good about giving folks a heads up notice. If there's a tornado warning, we typically talk about it 30 to 45 minutes before the warning gets issued. So you will have that leeway of time. I will say this: if you guys have Apple, if you have an iPhone, go download our Arkansas Weather Watchers app. I know we're going to start rolling out notifications for like heads up, like, hey, there's a tornadic storm headed your way. But we typically try to give a 30 to 45 minute heads up notice before a tornado warning gets issued for your area. But if that's a situation where a tornado warning happens and you don't get that heads up notice, then what I would recommend doing is trying to find that place in the apartment. And when I mean in that apartment, that's that center part. And like I said before, correct me if I'm wrong, by the way, because like I said, some apartments are different. I think the biggest thing is getting to the middle part or the lowest part. Some apartments, by the way, have their designated area, by the way, of going where there's a tornado warning, stuff like that. So kind of check into that, and see if there's any kind of designated area. But yeah, if you're in a situation like that, most times I'm able to give you guys heads up notice. So if you hear your name, you hear your town called out, and it's like 45 minutes away, you go ahead and get to that shelter. Even if it's 10 to 15 minutes away, you go ahead and get there here. Okay, so is the Discord time gated? I don't see any channels. No, I'm not sure about that. One of my moderators, can y'all take care of that? It shouldn't be. That might be a case where the URL, the invite link could be expired. So one of my guys will take care of that here. So I think that's pretty much it. Let me see here. It's not really, by the way, it's not a stupid question, by the way. You guys are awesome. So what does this kind of weather, why does it come in during the late afternoon and evening? Mainly, it has a lot to do with Arkansas is latitude and longitude wise. It just depends. We'll have situations here. I know a couple of years ago where it was just like we could not for the life of us get an afternoon or evening threat. Like it would always either be overnight or it would be during the morning. And now it's a situation where we're getting these threats in the afternoon, the evening, and into the overnight hours here. So it just varies, honestly. It just varies on the system. It varies on what kind of blocking you have in place and stuff like that. Timing is just, it varies with every system. That's just how it is. But there are certain situations, I've noticed that too. There are certain years that, you know, you'll constantly have these afternoon and evening threats, and then you'll have some seasons where it's just nonstop overnight morning threats across the board. So it just, Amanda, I wish I had a better answer for you. It just really depends on the system and the timing with that. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. Let me double check a couple more comments, and I think that's pretty much it. By the way, for those that are going to be wondering, we are going to have a severe weather package post on Facebook. So you don't have to worry about missing any graphics or anything like that. A shout from Conway Women's Chorus, an awesome shout. Thank you. We have an after concert party this evening from 6:30 to 8 o'clock in Conway. I'm going to say depends on what happens out west. It's just going to depend on what happens out west, because I don't want to say you're going to be good and then you get this rogue supercell that develops and it tracks into Central Arkansas. I would play it by ear, Lisa. If you could do me a big favor, make sure you message the page. I'll assign one of my guys to take care of it. Message the page. Give us to probably, it's 9 o'clock right now. Give us to about 2, 3 o'clock. See where we stand, and we go from there. I don't know what time you need to kind of cancel or postpone, but feel free to message us, and we'll get that taken care of for you, because it's going to vary. Right now, my professional opinion, I would say you should be fine, because it looks like all your activity will still be out to the west. I worry a little bit about folks getting home and stuff like that, but yeah, just check back with us later this afternoon, and we'll go from there. Because if you get one of these rogue supercells develop out in West Arkansas and tracks in the Central, then that 6:30 and 8 p.m. time frame could get a little chaotic. So we'll go from there. We'll, like I said, message the page. We'll get you taken care of. And one of my moderators, if y'all see her name in the message here, make that a priority. That way we can get that taken care of here. Okay. So yeah, Eastern Arkansas is almost always overnight. Tell me about it. Absolutely, tell me about it. So the Ladybacks wait a week because they're making it to the Super Regionals. I'm proud of them, by the way. Y'all are awesome. So no games right now. Looks like we're good. Okay, so hopefully we can get our football team to. I know baseball's been doing good. Our Ladybacks have been doing good. Let's get our football team to start winning some games here this fall. I think we're good. So. Let's see. Good morning from Conway and Little Rock. Water, snacks, food. We're good to go there. So one last question here from Nicole. Is it any good that Bentonville has been cloudy? Yes and no. It's going, if that cloud cover kind of holds on, it will kind of help keep things at a much tolerable level, but you're still going to see severe weather regardless. So I hope that answers your question here, guys. So that's pretty much it. One last quick look at radar real fast here. And this is speaking of said cloud cover, this is your satellite imagery right now here. And I'm going to take off the current radar here. So this is your current satellite imagery right now. You got a good amount of cloud cover across Arkansas here. As you can see up here in northwest Arkansas, you do have some cloud breaks. I'll zoom this out. Your dry line is going to start developing out here. Looks like you already got some storms trying to go up over here just south of Dallas. There's your dry line developing out here in Oklahoma down to Texas. This is what's going to lead to some supercells developing later on this afternoon and into this evening here. But I'm getting concerned. I can go ahead and stop this. Give me just 1 second here. I'll go ahead and stop this. As of 9 o'clock this morning, it looks like we've got cloud breaks from Louisiana, East Texas, that's going to be moving north. Okay, so we've got about, let's see, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 5 hours. about 5 to 6 hours before we start seeing initiation out here in eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas. That's what's going to lead. Hopefully we don't have any cloud breaks, but I worry. Some of this cloud cover could erode, and we could have a few hours of sunshine across the state here before things really start to get out of control later this afternoon into this evening. So thank you so much, Natural State Transparency. We'll be tuning in later. Hopefully remain safe across Arkansas. This is going to be the last time that you guys see me live, unless there's a tornado warning, by the way. What I will probably do is post some sort of like quick video briefing right around 2, 3 o'clock this afternoon, kind of see where we stand. And then we will go from there here, guys. Okay, so y'all stay safe. Go over those tornado safety plans here, guys. One last look, by the way, with this here. I did not mean to do that. I'm going to go back over to this. There we go. One last look at your severe weather risk for today. Level 4 up there in western, northwestern Arkansas. Harrison, Jasper, Fort Smith, Waldron, Mena, Fayetteville. Level 4. Your level 3 from Batesville all the way down to Hot Springs and Daisy to the Queen. And then you have from Walnut Ridge, Jonesboro, Cabot, Little Rock, Texarkana, level 2. And then for our folks in eastern Arkansas, from Blytheville, Stuttgart, all the way down to Magnolia, that level 1. And then as far as southeast Arkansas, looks like you're going to be kind of good shape down there. You may see some severe storms tomorrow. The tornado threat is there. The significant tornado threat is there, especially across western, northwestern Arkansas. One of my guys, if y'all can do me a big favor, quick shout out to Joint Forces K9 Group for sponsoring the Skycam up there in Solomon Springs. Robert, I talked to you, the last couple of weeks, man. Thank you so much for getting this Skycam up. This is one of the reasons why we're pushing this project so much. Is because of situations like this. He is smack dab into level 4 moderate risk up there in northwestern Arkansas. So if one of my guys can get a link in the comments, you guys, if you want to watch that camera 24/7, that's the best way to go. And like I said, for that camera is going to be watching for any tornadic storms up there in northwestern Arkansas. But yeah, a quick shout out to Joint Forces K9 Group for really coming through with getting that camera set up there in northwestern Arkansas here. Hopefully this time go around, Robert, we keep the power on up there. We had the storms yesterday, but hopefully we keep the power on so that way we'll be able to spot those storms up there in northwestern Arkansas, guys. Okay, so one last thing I know we need to get through today. My son graduates tomorrow evening. You're going to be good to go here. Timing has sped up, by the way. This was originally supposed to be Tuesday for us here in Arkansas. It is now today. So any graduation plans tomorrow, etc., you should be good to go here in Arkansas for that here. Okay, so other than that, guys, y'all take care. We're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. And we'll continue to keep you guys updated right here, your source for all things Arkansas weather.